I think this can work. We can make it a triangular composition, sort of like this way. And actually in the cabinet I've set up a little plant holding system. Okay, so while the tank is filling up, we can have a look at this new filter. Okay, plan for today is to set up this tank right here. This used to be the low-tech / low-budget aquarium for my 2025 Aquascaping Beginner's Guide. If you have not seen that guide and you want to watch it, I'll leave a link in the video description. It's a 7-episode series covering everything from start to finish about aquascaping. So we basically have two identical setups. The only difference is that this tank is made from regular float glass and this tank is made from optic white glass. So that glass is a little bit higher quality, a little bit more transparent. This one has a bit of a greenish tint to it. I did upgrade the light on this tank, so we now have two of the same lights. These are Twinstar E-Series 4. I just think they look really nice with the acrylic legs, you know. So I've upgraded the light on this setup, and I'm actually also going to upgrade the filtration because I used to run an internal filter from Superfish. I think it's quite bulky and just doesn't look very nice. So I'm going to upgrade it with an external canister filter. This is the new Eheim Classic Vario. It's not sponsored, I bought some with my own money. I actually saw this filter for the first time at Interzoo last year. Spoke to the guys from Eheim and I was quite curious to test it out. So I saw it on sale recently, so I thought, let me just try it out. Of course, I'm not going to install the filter now. I'll do that once the Scaper is completely done, but I'm excited about this product, so yeah, something to look forward to. So this layout I made a few days ago, and this is going to be a real classic nature style aquascape, you know, like carpet in the foreground, crypts around the wood, ferns on the wood, and then colorful stems in the background. So of course, this one should be something a little bit different. So I'm thinking of making sort of like a river style aquascape, but actually a heavily planted river, if that makes sense. So I have these really nice dark gray boulders, and long-term viewers of the channel might recognize these stones because the last time I used them was in the 90B river. I think this layout is going to be quite similar. I was thinking of doing something completely different, but I really enjoyed the layout. You guys enjoyed it as well. I think the video got like more than 100,000 views, so yeah, I want to just try something similar again. But first things first, we need to take care of this substrate. So this is the old substrate from the previous layout. I definitely want to reuse it again because it's full of beneficial bacteria. It's only 6 months old, so there's probably still nutrients in there as well. But I do want a cosmetic sand foreground. So I'm going to push some substrate towards the back and then kind of clean it up a little bit here and then add in some sand and some gravel. I want to try to siphon out this last bit of water because it's quite dirty. So I'm going to raise one side of the aquarium. Okay, remove the AQUASOIL from the foreground. I don't think it's a good idea to add in the sand and the gravel now because I'm going to be using quite heavy rocks. So the AQUASOIL is still going to be shifting around and moving around. So it's probably a good idea to save that till the very last. So yeah, let's get some of these rocks in. So I've used these rocks a few times now, and every time I've used them, I've glued the Hardscape together. So these rocks actually have some glue marks. I don't know if you guys can see that. Yeah, you can see there's a lot of glue marks on there. Unfortunately, there's not really much I can do about it anymore. It's very difficult to remove, so I'm just gonna have to find a way to make sure it's not visible. So either, you know, face this rock the other way or cover it up with some plants or something, but we'll figure something out. I think the other side doesn't really have much glue marks. So this one could stand like this. Wasn't really happy how things were going, so we're starting from scratch again. And this time I'm going to start with the wood because the wood has quite a nice flow. I think I want to have it like that. So now I'm going to start adding in the rocks again. So I do want this piece of wood to sit a little bit higher. I think this can work. We can make it a triangular composition, sort of like this way. Have it much more densely planted on this side, taller plants as well, and then just have it sloping down towards the right. I think this could be nice. I do still have quite a lot of these smaller pebbles. But at the moment the piece of wood is touching the glass over here, so I'm just going to move it forward slightly. I think this is good. Now I can also have plants over here, you know, otherwise it would be hard to kind of cover this up. So initially I was thinking just have a line of sand and cosmetic gravel in the foreground, but I'm thinking to have soil until there and until there, and then just have sand in the middle and have it going up on the hill as well, you know. I think that could be nice. So I'm going to add a little bit of new AQUASOIL in each corner. just to raise it up a little bit. Here we go. So now this side and this side can also be planted. This will remain empty, and later on, once we're completely done, we'll add in some nice cosmetic sand. Right, I quite like where this hardscape is going. I can kind of already visualize how it's going to look with the plants in there and the sand in there. Next step is to glue this piece of wood to the rocks. I just want to have it secure, you know, so I'm just going to use my super glue and cotton pad method. A few spots here and there just to hold it down. Okay, I think piece of wood is secure. Yeah, it's not moving anymore. So we're pretty much ready for planting. But before we do that, I just want to add some root caps into the substrate. Like I said, it's been 6 months. This AQUASOIL is 6 months old. So I just want to make sure we have enough nutrients for another 6 months. So a couple of these Dennerle plants power caps in there, then we should be good. You want to push these in quite deep because those capsules always have a little bit of air in it. Sometimes they want to float up to the surface. I'm going to put 3 in the background here, and then a few more over here. Okay, root taps are in, so now we can start planting. So I'm thinking for the left back corner to use the Nymphoides Taiwan. This will look really good in there. And then I'm also going to add in some of this Juncus repens. This is a nice grassy stem plant. So just mix that with the Nymphoides Taiwan. Then I have some Taxiphyllum barbiri, also known as Java moss. Of course, it's going to go on the wood and kind of like in between the smaller rocks. And then for these shorter areas over here, I'll use the Halantium broadleaf and Halantium red. And actually in the cabinet, I've set up a little plant holding system. And in here, I have a few more options. I have some really nice Hydrocotyl verticillata in here. I do have some small Amazon swords as well. Got some hairgrass. I've got some pearlweed. Some Sagittaria as well. So I might pick a few of these as well. Alright, all done planting. I like it a lot already. I think it has a very natural feel to it. So the only thing left to do now is to add in the sand and the gravel. I think in order to do that, I'm actually going to fill up the tank with water first. Then siphon out this little bit of mud that we have over here in front. Maybe siphon out a little bit of excess soil on the path. And then I can add in the sand and the gravel. Okay, so while the tank is filling up, we can have a look at this new filter. We've got a huge thick manual, and we also have a quick guide. So I'll probably just read the quick guide and get rid of the manual. And here's the filter itself. Even though I have seen this thing about a year ago, I'm still quite surprised how big it is actually. And it's not that powerful. I think this one does like 510 liters per hour, which, you know, it's actually not that much. Yeah, at least there's a lot of space for media and stuff like that. Let's see what kind of media is in there actually. Yeah, I'm not going to open it up. As you can see, it's basically just sponges. There's no biological filter media. It's kind of weird as well, you know? Like it's not a cheap filter. Why would you only put sponges in there? And besides the filter, of course, you get a bunch of tubing. You get 4 of these valves, which is nice. Of course, all the pipe work for the in and out flow, which I'm not going to be using. And then, of course, the power brick and the electricity cord. Okay, back to the tank. So I'm just going to start siphoning. I just want to remove this little bit of mud over here and a little bit of soil from this area over here. So I've just been digging through my collection of sands and gravel. And I have this Dua river sand, tropical river sand. Looks quite nice. I have the classic ADA La Plata sand. And then I also have this gravel from Wio, which I also used in the previous river layout with these rocks, you know. Here we go. So this is very similar to the bowls that I've used for the Hardscape, you know. So I think a combination of these three materials should look very nice. Okay, all done with the sand and gravel, but of course it's super cloudy because MJ didn't bother to wash anything. So I'm just going to quickly install the filter and then the filter will clear everything up. So I think I'm going to have to say goodbye to my plant holding station because I need space for the external filter. So instead of the standard filter tubing, I'm just going to use this flexible filter hose from Chihiros. Pretty much use this on all my tanks now. So this is what comes standard with the Eheim filter. Not necessarily bad, it is quite flexible, but it's also like kind of a dark brownish grayish color. Not very pretty. I think this looks a lot better. I don't know if you guys can see, but I also have to go through this little gap over here. There's a hole in the cabinet, and then I have to go out to behind the tank. So this really flexible hose from Chihiros is great for that. It's not sponsored, it's just a product that I like. And instead of using the standard in and outflow, which is also not a very nice looking color, I'm going to upgrade it to the Aquarium Neo Flow. They're actually the same shape, but this one is transparent and this one is not. Wondering if it's made in the same factory. I don't think so, probably not. Okay, filter is installed and the in and outflow is installed as well. Now, this filter doesn't even have a prime function, so we're going to have to do it the old-fashioned way. And in case you're wondering what the old-fashioned way is, it's basically removing the tube, making sure that the inflow is fully submerged. And there we go. Now it's priming. Okay. Now the filter is slowly filling itself with water. Okay, it's all filled up, so now we can plug it in. And we have flow. Seems quite powerful actually. Okay, I finally managed to connect the filter to the Eheim app. I'm now running it on 50%, which is, I think it's good. I'm now going to add some ADA clear water, and hopefully in an hour the tank is crystal clear. Okay, fast forward to the next day. Tank is looking good, water is crystal clear, and I'm quite happy with how the sand path turned out. I think it's looking really good. Only thing I have to do now is to add in the CO2. Didn't really have time for it yesterday, so I'm going to do that now. Okay, plenty of space in the cabinet for a CO2 system. I have a brand new 500 grams CO2 cylinder. Remove the packaging. Because it's new, it always has this yellow seal on the output. So just remove that. And now we're basically ready to go. Full of CO2. These 500 grams CO2 cylinders, they can't really stand alone, so they need to have a foot as well. So we're just going to put it in the cabinet like this. Then next up we need a CO2 regulator, and I'm actually going to use the Chihiros CO2 regulator Mate, I think it's called. I've shown this one once before in my 2024 CO2 system buying guide, and since then I haven't really used it. But yeah, it's perfect for this small system. Okay, so the regulator is attached to the cylinder. Now I just need to fill up the bubble counter. You can do this with water, but I actually like to use glycerin. You can find this in like pharmacy and stuff like that. Not sure what it's normally used for, but this stuff is a lot thicker than water, so it also doesn't evaporate. So if you fill this one with water, over time the water will evaporate or will just end up in the tubing, and then you can't really count the bubbles anymore, you know. With this, it's a bit more of a permanent solution. Then for the CO2 diffuser, I'm going to use the Neo diffuser from Aquarium. This is the special curved S. So I think this is Not the smallest one, but the one up basically. They have tiny S, M, and L, I think. And there it is. Really nice diffuser. Really good size as well. I like that it has this curve here, so you can just hang it over the glass edge. You don't need any suction cups. Next up, I'm going to make a cut in the tubing somewhere in the middle and add a check valve. Focus on that. There's probably already a check valve in the CO2 bubble counter, but I just want to prevent having the entire CO2 tubing being filled with water after the CO2 turns off, you know? So just going to have a check valve a lot close to the diffuser to prevent that. Here we go. So diffuser, tubing, check valve is over there. And I'm just going to pull the tubing so the check valve is not visible. Here we go. So we're all done setting up the CO2 system. We've got micro bubbles coming from the diffuser. Only thing left to do now is to add a drop checker to the aquarium. I think I'm just going to place it in the back corner over here. So the drop checker is just going to tell us how much CO2 we have in the aquarium. So blue is not enough. Over here in this one, it's yellow. It's a bit too much, but we don't have fish in here just yet, so that's okay. This one has been dialed in a long time ago. It's a nice lime green color, which is perfect. You really want to dial it in as soon as possible, because once you start making adjustments like a week in or 2 weeks in, the chances of getting some algae issues because of the fluctuations is a lot higher. Okay guys, roughly 5 or 6 weeks have passed and this tank developed really beautifully and really fast as well. I mean, it's not totally surprising. We use quite a lot of fast growing plants. We use the pearlweed, the halantium in the foreground, so this one grew in fast. Also had absolutely no startup issues whatsoever, like no brown algae, no diatoms, nothing. And I think that's because I reused the substrate on a previous layout, you know? Like that stuff is full of beneficial bacteria and you kind of instantly cycle the tank. You can also kind of skip past the ugly phase. Doesn't always happen, but in this case it did. Got some really nice inhabitants in this tank. I've added a mix of celestial pearldanios and the emerald rasboras. So the celestial pearldanios have a blue body with dots and then red fins. And the emerald rasboras have a blue body but with like vertical stripes. I think they're the same family sort of, and I think they can actually breed together as well. But I don't think that's going to happen in this tank, and even if they would, like the babies probably wouldn't survive. There's too many predators. Then I've also added the Borneo loaches. Really love those guys because they stay quite small, so they're the perfect size for this nano tank in my opinion. And some of them have a really beautiful blue tail, so yeah, they're really interesting fish to watch. And they really keep the rocks nice and clean. There's a bit of green algae on the rocks, but yeah, there's food for them, so I kind of want that. So that's all the fish. And then we have some shrimp in here as well. We have a nice group of crystal red shrimp, and there's some Amano shrimp in here as well. I really love the crystal reds. Like they're probably my favorite. I would say, yeah, I think crystal reds are my favorite shrimp. They're a little bit more difficult to keep. You know, they're a little bit more finicky when it comes to the water parameters. But they seem to be happy in here. So if they're happy, I'm happy as well. So I think that's all the inhabitants. I mean, there's a few snails in here as well, but yeah, I think I've mentioned all of them. Now you might have noticed that some of the plants have changed a bit. So initially I planted the Nymphoides Taiwan in the background, but unfortunately almost all of it has melted. So instead I planted the Hydroclase Nymphoides, if I pronounce that correctly. It's like a little South American water lily, and yeah, kind of a similar looking plant, but a bit different. And then I also wanted a little bit more color in the layout, so I added a few stems of the Proserpinaca. No, this is not Persicaria. That's it. A few stems of Persicaria, and there's a few stems of red Myriophyllum as well, just for a little bit more color. Oh, and of course the redwood floaters. I did also add a light screen to the aquarium. I'll turn it on right now. So this is without the light screen, and this is with the light screen. You guys let me know what you prefer. I sometimes turn it on, but for the most part I just keep it off. But it's kind of nice when you're making some cinematic footage, you know. In terms of maintaining this tank, it's kind of the same recipe as always. Light is on for 8 hours per day from 1 p.m. till 9 p.m. It's not on the full brightness, it's the one step lower. And CO2 starts 2 hours before the lights, turns off 1 hour earlier. And currently in terms of fertilizer, I am dosing the Seachem Flourish. This is kind of an all-in-one fertilizer, but it doesn't really have a whole lot of nitrate and phosphate. So the nitrate and phosphate is mostly coming from the fish waste and from the food. So yeah, this is working well right now. I really love seeing all the fish and the shrimp kind of, just hanging out underneath the arch. Sometimes they do come out, but yeah, really happy with this layout. Hope you guys enjoyed this one as well. I think this is it. Guys, thanks for watching. See you in the next one.